All right. What is up? We are going to be doing a look at a replay here of the deck profile we just did here. This is on EDO Pro, and yeah, I wanted to show off what this deck can do, particularly against a tricky meta matchup, the old Runick. Possibly Runick stun. We'll see if we can see parts of their deck. But anyways, let's go ahead and step forward here into the draw phase here. Now this is post side, I will note. The Mourners came in post side, so that's one thing I will note here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and fire off the Illusion of Chaos first, put it back, and then this way we can start off with the Souls, dig a little bit deeper, filter our hand with this Impermanence, see if we can bait something, and then we can combo that with the Heart Pourer. So we end up drawing the Wandering Griffin Rider, which is just so unfortunate because this is totally useless. So we just end up normal summoning the Harp, and at this point it's like, all right, we're just gonna pull off our full Orcust combo here. So we'll go ahead and see our Barricade just to get rid of the Nightmare. So now we have both the Nightmare and the Heart Pourer in the grave, so we're gonna be getting full combo here. So we'll wand back the Nightmare, and then we'll climb up into a Galatea here. Galatea, put back the wand. That's usually the best target with your Galatea. And then we'll go ahead and put up our Babel. That's gonna be our main form of interruption to make their turn our turn. So we'll go ahead and now fire off the Harp, which will get into our Girsu. Girsu's incredible, probably just send the Skeleton, which is great. So we've got the Skeleton now in grave and two bodies on the field, including the Link, which means we get to climb on into Ding. Ding can grab the Harp, so now we have every name in rotation here. The Harp will get attached back to the Ding here. This is great. So now we'll just go ahead and step on into our IP Masquerena, and yeah, like I said, we've got every name that we would want in the graveyard, so we're just good to go. We've got a full turn on theirs, and we've got IP plus Mourner. This is the only dead card. Maybe we use this for a discard fodder of some sort. So anyways, we will now set up our Symbol Skeleton to bring back Galatea. This is nice because on their draw phase, we can maybe bait one of their negates because we're trying to put this back, and worst case, we could climb into a Longirsu to put this back too. So there are a few ways to get it back out of the banished. So we will go ahead and now move to the next turn. So they draw another tip. That's great. So they can't even use twice. Can't use it twice. So we'll start with the Galatea the draw phase just to set up a crescendo, which it's a little threatening going into the next turn after that. And if they're using Runick cards, they're not killing me this turn. So that Spear Mode is just staring menacingly at this field. All right, so we'll go ahead and step into their first play, Duality. We're not going to be able to stop this. And then they'll chain the Runick tip to add a Runick card. And then they'll banish the top card of my deck. So they add the Fountain. And this is just brutal. Faithful Adventure. Right off the top, it hurts so bad. Now this card's completely useless, and of course it's just the single banish, and they managed to hit that. Now the evenly, while it looks scary at first, remember that besides this Masquerena, there's no real threat on the board. My hand again with Orcust is really the graveyard, and so I'll just leave the Babel if he evenly's me. So they choose to be wise enough to grab the Destruction, which I think is smart. But then what's interesting here is they target the Crescendo. And this doesn't make any sense because what you're trying to do is force out this Babel so I don't get to ding whenever I want. You need to, theoretically protect it. So I don't know. I think that's not the correct play. I think that hitting the Crescendo is definitely not right. But anyways, that's their bad. Now this is where it gets a little bit rough because now we've gone ahead and since we banished per their effect, because they destroy and then banish the top four. Great. Yeah, there's the top four. Oh, even nastier. So these are names that we really want in deck, or at best in grave. But banished are a little bit trickier to get out, especially since we've already used Galatea's effect to shuffle back a banished machine. So these are going to be a little bit trickier now, and the Skeleton is really not what I wanted to see. So that's a little bit unfortunate. So now they're going to go ahead and fire off their Fountain here, which is fine. So now we need to set up some bodies for this IP so we can start to contend with it. Ideally get this, the Ding Girsu back in rotation as well. So we've got our Girsu out now, which is great. So we'll go ahead and use the Girsu effect. We'll dump our, just an extra name at this point. because we still have the Nightmare in there as well. So we can use that whenever we want. Okay, so now I just get balled. And this is, you know, noteworthy here because I put the third body on the field. But what I think is interesting is, you know, once it dumps, what's interesting is I could have IP'd and basically made a long Gearsu using the IP and the Gearsu itself, and that would make it so whatever they summon in this extra monster zone will be linked, and so the long Gearsu could then use its effect to send it. And so, you know, I'd be setting that up, and I would keep myself under 2 bodies. I figured I would like wait and see what they were gonna do, but yeah, I totally played it into sphere mode, unfortunately. So I get the big chicken egg. There it is. Now what's nice is then they just pass, which, okay, great. But that just means that because I hadn't used my crescendo effect, I can use it in the grave. You only get 1 crescendo effect per turn, but since I didn't use the field one, I'm definitely using the grave, and I didn't summon anything besides machines. So we are gonna go ahead and get, yeah, because basically it's both a counter trap, which can negate a spell, trap, or monster effect, and then banish it. Or you can banish the crescendo from graveyard. It says climax, but the real name is crescendo. And then you can add 1 dark machine, and then you can't special summon besides dark machines. So it's really nice, actually. Pretty generic too, that it can add any dark machine. All right, so we will go ahead and add back our skeleton, because now we can start, you know, bringing back our graveyard, which is our second hand, remember. So now we'll go ahead and step into the next play here. So at this point, it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna go ahead and normal summon our skeleton, and at this point they're gonna go grab their tip, so they can probably try to disrupt me in some way. This is interesting. I don't know why they're choosing to Hugin, because this is not protecting the fountain. This deck doesn't do any destruction. This should have been grabbing another one of these destructions. I don't know if they played multiples, but you gotta get this Babel off the field, dude. So they're gonna Runick Fountain for 3, which is huge, I will say. You know, at the very least, that's pretty nice. So they'll draw 3, which is crazy. Wow. Okay, so the tip is dead. Synchro Zone, that just stops attacks except with synchros, and neither of us are really showing that off right now. And then, oh wow, interesting. Okay, so they just hit a bunch of Runick cards. They can negate an effect monster. That's interesting. So we'll go ahead and keep moving here. Now we'll use our Galatea. Galatea hasn't used her effect this turn, which is great, because now we can shuffle back the wand which got banished. The wand you never want banished for very long. So now we'll go ahead and use the skeleton as Chainlink 2 to bring back Dingirsu to threaten the fountain, of course. Okay, so shuffle back, set up our return here, which is just a draw 2 if we can set up an Orcust to send. Alright, and then Dingirsu will threaten to send 1 card on the field. So they're going to be forced to freezing chains my Dingirsu here. So they do that. Banish 3 nothing burgers. Skeleton was already banished, so yeah, these 3 were nothing. They were just ogres, which, you know, it would have been nice to have in my hand, but that's, oh well, so what. So now we're going to go ahead and unicorn, because the ding stopped the Runick Fountain, but, or from being sent, or what did they use the freezing chains to stop the ding, but now we're going to use our unicorn to try to out this thing anyways. So now we're pitching this dead wandering Griffin Rider, poor thing, and we're going to go ahead and shuffle back this fountain. Now we're going to go ahead and harp out what appears to be one of our few Orcust names left in the deck, Nightmare, to buff up the unicorn here. Now we can use Wand Effect, now that we finally shuffled it back. We will put it back in the banish column, into the banish area, but we do get to bring back the skeleton, which is huge. So now, skeleton, and this is a little bit of an interesting choice on my play. I think what we should have done, you know, to be honest, with these 2 bodies here in particular, draw 2, obviously. I'd forgotten about this card, to be honest. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. We could have easily set this Nightmare and had this on the field, you know, climb into a Zero Boros or something, who knows. But the fact is, the draws would have really mattered. If we can hit some Horus cards, which, you know, frankly are nowhere to be seen, so you know, we have a very high chance of hitting some. Yeah, and so that's just a little bit unfortunate there. But anyways, we will climb into our dark. We're gonna go ahead and clear up the field here. 3k to the face. We've got an imperm set face down. And this is fascinating here because they hit the evenly match, which again doesn't do a ton. It basically trades with my imperm because everything else, like these 3 cards, aren't doing anything on the opponent's turn. So we still have the Moonlit, we'll still have the Babble, so we'll still get to send. So let's play it out. If they're gonna go ahead, because they're gonna basically, I don't know. Oh, that's right. I now recognize why they couldn't do what they thought they were gonna try to do. So they used their Runick tip, but it says, or their Runick cards, but they have to skip their next battle phase, so they can't go into the battle phase to use evenly matched. That is a very poor deck building choice on their part. I think once they realize that, we might, yeah, that's where they concede defeat. Now it makes a little bit more sense in hindsight. But anyways, yeah, this is the Orcust Pile deck. We're off to the races here and having some fun with this TCG format. So anyways, until next time.